during this very challenging time where we had to be forced to be separate from our friends and our colleagues, I was really grateful for this Anchor app, which has allowed me to continue the podcast after almost 1 year of working on it. It's free. You simply go to anchor.fm and download the app. And there you'll find all the tools that you need to record and edit your podcast, as well as to invite people onto your podcast through the app. Anchor also distributes the podcast for you on Apple, Spotify, and many other platforms. You have absolutely nothing to do except to record your podcast. If you have an ad like this, you can also make money. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. I would recommend it for anyone who wants to get their voice out there, has something to contribute. Go for it. Anchor.fm is where you go to download the free app and to get started. Good luck with your podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Bees and Honey podcast. Today we're speaking with Tanja Grunert. She's an amazing gallerist who has worked with some incredible talent like Martin Kippenberger and like Ed Ruscha. Over the years of her career, she has had multiple galleries in different locations across the world, and her perspective is really unique. I think you'll enjoy this. Hello, Tanja. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Nicolette?
Good. Good to hear your voice. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yes, I haven't seen you in a long time, but I'm always following you and your family on Instagram, which is always
God
very
for
beautiful.
Social media. Thank you. I mean, it's been vilified recently because of all these things surrounding politics and the election. But in general, it's a good thing to keep in touch with our friends.
Yes, I miss the good art on it. It's always about Trump and bump. So.
Yeah, exactly. But tell us about your current exhibition. Tell us about the Princess Beatrice house in Hudson and how you started to put the exhibitions there, the history of the house.
Yeah, it's kind of very easy. My former husband and I, we got this house in 2014, and then we separated, and then I kept living in the house over the weekends. And then the Princess Beatrix house is a 1920 Tudor, more or less all original. It's very beautiful. It has a lot of atmosphere, and it's wonderful to live in. And but I did not open my upstate Hudson gallery in the Princess Beatrix house. I opened it up. There's a large antique warehouse where at least 40 antique dealers and a lot of artists work or have their storage. And last year in October, I rented a 1,000 square foot space for $800, just to point out the price difference.
Wow.
And I also made it very beautiful. So, I mean, it was a complete white rectangle. Everything outside was black. So everybody could not oversee it. And I put my name in color and old, very old letters up there. So, I mean, black is the new white. So then I began with an exhibition called Function, Non-Function Ceramics.
Mm-hmm.
And my concept was, okay, I only will do theme exhibitions or, let's say, group exhibitions. So my idea was, okay, and then I can just do 4 projects a year, and then that's cool. But it all took another direction. So just to speak a little bit about this Function, Non-Function Ceramics, it was an exhibition where Vaginal Davis was included, Nicole Cherubini was included, Carrie Leibowitz was included, Tim Roda, and also a very young artist, for example, Emily Ritz. And so just to get a reference also to upstate Hudson. So Nicole Cherubini, she works and lives up here. in Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
And Carrie Leibowitz lives also partly up here close to Clover Rock. And then, so that's a little bit where I can say there are a lot of artists which are living here as either partially or full time. A lot of things changed also because of COVID. So you have more artists which are living up here than you had before full time.
Oh, wow. And of course, there's some collectors who have second homes there or who are based there full time.
No,
Not so many.
no,
I know a couple.
it's very easy. We have fantastic collectors up here, but if they're big collectors, they still buy with the galleries based in New York.
Oh, right. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because some of them bought with me in New York City, but they even never came to my gallery now here.
Interesting. And how
But
long ago did you start?
last year, October.
Oh, it's already a year.
Yeah. And but for example, just to give you also a price understanding. So in the exhibition Function Non-Function Ceramics, it was between $150 and $45,000. What do you think I sold the most? I sold 12 pieces between $150 and $1,000. So, and that's the difference also up here is that the collectors, and that's why I really love it, is the collectors up here are more believers. So yeah, they're total believers. They have a total subjective conviction. They're really, really somewhat cool. So, like they really go and they see it and intuitively they say, oh, that's what I want to have. Okay, that's great. Yeah. So, and that's really nice, was really different for me because when I began to be a dealer in 1980, that was the way how people would collect. And it all changed. I mean, New York, the collector, the most, let's say out of 100 collectors, 95 of them are per se buying with their ears.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Okay, and so that's different. And also in your first question, you asked me what is the difference between New York and Hudson. It's also very easy. I'm an action person. And so Hudson is like I came here, moved here last year in March completely from New York. It is really, it went from action to contemplation, So
sometimes we need to slow down. We need to be forced to slow down to contemplate a little.
Oh yeah, it's okay. No, I really have to say I really enjoy it. It's full of joy. And I also, the artist scene is very strongly here. So also the music scene is very strongly here. People always think about artists first, but the music people came here before the artists came.
Wow. It's funny that you said that because I just thought about David Bowie and Iman with their place in Ulster. I mean, even big musicians. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the furry guy, Richard, he is in Beacon, but we could go on and on. The bass guitarist from the Roses, whatever Roses, Guns N' Roses. I heard a concert with him, 18 people in the garden. I mean that's special. I mean,
wow.
So you have a lot, but also very, very super famous jazz people, free and sound people, and noise people. They all live in the Catskills. So that's really interesting. And you have a what do you call it, collaboration, or you have a group of women. They're all DJs. Yeah, it's fantastic. Now we cannot dance anymore, but that's a different thing. So
well, we can. We just have to stay away from each other and be out in the cold dancing. But it's ridiculous.
So but I also want to say, I mean, so what is really also good is there are always some events which also are done by private people, like Jonah Boktar. He since this is the second year he does a performance and art event. It's called Hudson Eye.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, during this weekend when the Hudson Eye was here realizing, I mean, when it was the main weekend, but some of the works were outside and in the old library for 10 or 12 days. I had curators from New York and collectors and art consultant, and it was unbelievable. So the people really travel nowadays.
Wow,
It
yeah, it's
was in
very
COVID,
nice.
so it was in COVID. I think it was in August, so they involve different people. Like they put a sculpture outside of on my grounds, and then we have a fantastic place. It's called two really great places in Hudson, besides my house,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
besides the Princess Beatrix. It is called
Mm-hmm.
the Hudson Hall
Mm-hmm.
and the Second Ward.
Oh yes, I've heard of the second ward.
Yeah, but the Hudson Hall. So just to show how cool it is so the curator for the Hudson Eye, he there was the American flag from David hanging was hanging down the Warren Street with the American flag. It was unbelievable.
That sounds amazing.
And then in the Hudson
That's
Hall,
so, so cool.
they also showed videos from David Hammond, you know. So
Mm.
and what they do is unbelievable. You know, I mean, in the second ward, which was so there were all these different locations, but in the second ward they had Al Hansen and his daughter
Mm-hmm.
Bibi Hansen. So
Mm-hmm.
and she did performances of her father, and it was really so. What I'm saying, but then when this is happening, people are really coming also from New York. But everything changed with COVID. Whoever came up here
Mm-hmm.
for 3 days is now up here 7 days. So, but you know, like there are artists like Tiki Smith and
Mm-hmm.
Susan Frecken. They live up here full time since a very long time.
Right.
You know, and I mean, we have other people like David Hammonds. I think he's in Kingston, and Glenn Ligon is in down Warren Street. You know, Francesca Di Matteo. So you have, you know, Nicole Cherubini, Michaela Thomas. So you have really, uh, how can I say it?
Good artist,
Oh yeah.
strong
Oh,
artist
even Dan
scene.
Colin.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
he's
I
doing
didn't know that.
potatoes. So no, but
Okay.
so that's really good. And what was the other question?
Well, you don't have to go on. I was going to ask you next about the galleries. Like you said, they have some openings and stuff. So is everyone wearing masks and socially distanced out there for these gallery
Hmm.
openings?
It's very different. So I know only how I do it. I called it
Mm-hmm.
an opening day. I begin at 10 in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
finish at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And there cannot be more than 3 people in
Right.
the house, and they all have to
Mm-hmm.
wear masks.
Right. Right.
They also have
Well, tell us.
they also have
Mm-hmm.
to sign in for contact tracing. What else?
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm not really worried, but I know other people think about these things before they attempt to come to a show. So when is the current exhibition up until?
Inclusive next week, the 31st of this
Mm-hmm.
month. But I will prolong it because I planned an exhibition with an artist who has a time crunch, and now I have to wait uh, to see if he can do it at all. That's why I don't want to say the name.
Oh, okay. So it will be up a little bit into November as
Yes,
well.
yes.
And well, tell us a little bit about Europe as well. You haven't been back to Germany during this whole lockdown season, right?
No, it's a, it's a, it's also, I really, there are no more fairs,
Right.
right? The exhibitions which I would have liked to see are also not, they were closed. So there were
Right.
no way, I mean, my daughter lives in Italy and she was 66 days without leaving the apartment.
Yeah.
And so, I have not seen my children since over a year.
Oh no, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's really so. No, I have no plans to go to Europe. I hope that my
Right.
daughter will make it if they don't lock down Italy again to come for Christmas. That's all what I wish.
Well, tell us a little bit because we can go backwards now and how you started out as an art dealer in the 80s and how it was when you moved to New York at that time. And I just don't know, like, what is your history in terms of the art world?
Yeah, I I got kicked out of school when I was 15, and so then mm, I said to my father, "Oh, I want to be a screen printer because all my school friends they went into graphic design and printing." So,
Mm-hmm.
X by chance, I got put into a printer who printed for Richard Lindner and
Mm-hmm.
Christo and Wittenborn and Arakawa and so on. And so I was there 16 and a half, and all what I did was working with artists.
Mm-hmm.
I just begin to love the artists because they have a different approach to life, and I I never had experienced that. So and
Mm-hmm.
then so then I was like 18, still working there, and there was a little provincial gallery this screen printer had, and uh, yeah, and then I asked him if I could do an exhibition, and then I curated an exhibition. Curated, everybody curates.
Mm-hmm.
I just invited my best friends from the art academy in Stuttgart, and
Uh-huh.
the ones which I went partying wildly every night,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the
Mm-hmm.
exhibition. But some of them got quite well known, like Rosalia. She is a was a she did a lot of theater backgrounds, and she did all the Wagner Ring, etc. So it was a kind of really cool school in and Thomas Locher went to that school, and Thomas Grunfeld. However, so and then then I tried to get a job to learn to
Mm-hmm.
be an art dealer. So I thought, you know, Rudolf Springer. So I went to Berlin. I was like 18 or 19. I went to Rudolf Springer in Berlin, and
Mm-hmm.
we had a conversation for 1 hour. And then at the end, he said to me, "Well, it's very clear, Tanja. I have a secretary. I don't need another secretary, but you will make it with your voice." That was it.
Nice.
Yes,
Very
and
nice.
then I began to go to Cologne, and like 78, 79 or something like that. I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I walked into Michael Werner, and there was Rudolf Springer, and he said, "Michael, this is the woman with the voice." It was totally absurd. And then I was so angry that I said, "You know what? Doesn't matter. I'm just opening up. I'm going to open up now." And I just open up, no clue about anything. That's it. Yeah,
Wow, I love that story.
yeah. So,
And then how did you come to New York? What made you move over the water? I mean, it was a big move, I imagine, for you at
yeah,
that
I
time.
stayed 4 years. I opened my gallery in 1980. Then 4 years later, I went to Cologne because I really wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be a part of this contemporary scene. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Cologne, Cologne. Everybody thinks it's New York, but I can tell you from Ralph Penck to Sigmar Polke to Gerhard Richter,
Mm-hmm.
we all lived just in one little tiny part of the city, and many more, and it's so it was a real thing. I mean, just to meet someone like Joseph Beuys, that was super. So, however, and then then
And what about Kippenberger? Did you know
yes,
Kippenberger or did you
we
see?
did exhibitions together. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I
wow.
did an exhibition together with Albert Oehl and Martin
Mm-hmm.
Kippenberger. I forgot the year now, early 80s, I think
Mm-hmm.
1983. It's a very famous installation. It's called Capri by Night. It's the Fort
Mm-hmm.
Capri, which Albert
Mm-hmm.
Oehlen painted with skin color acrylic paint, where oils were
Mm-hmm.
mixed in.
Mm-hmm.
And Martin put his Capri painting in the back of the trunk. And
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of, it's a funny story, so I'm going to tell it. Probably people think I'm nuts, but maybe I am.
It's all the better.
So that was in 1983 or something like this, and I slept in this kind of army beds in my gallery and took a shower in the house of my friends across in the front, and so then I had no electricity because I couldn't afford 75 marks. So, however, because the car, this unbelievable piece of art. The idea was, that's why it's called Capri by Night, that the opening first would take place at 11 o'clock and that only the trunk lights and the brake lights, the door were open. So only whatever light the car in itself had was the lighting for the exhibition. So it was really good for me. I had no electricity, but the car did it by themselves. Yeah.
Amazing story. I mean, you're really last of the bohemians,
Yeah, but that was
amazing.
already when I was like 24 or something like this. Now, honestly, if something like that would happen to me, I would poop in my pants.
You'd have a nervous breakdown. Yeah.
It's like to be an art dealer, a gallerist without having any knowledge is like going on an LSD trip.
For real. That is probably the best way I've ever heard it described. Yes, it's totally psychedelic. Oh my God.
So then I went to Cologne, and then I met my former husband, Clemens Gasser, and we got married, and he came from a very bourgeois area, South Tyrol, German-spoken Italian minority, and he never liked the place he came from. It was too bourgeois and saturated for him. So he came to Cologne, and he had his gallery in the Ungers house where Max Hetzler had the gallery, and Raffaella Blanca. And but then, for whatever reason, for the good or for the bad, we decided to put it together. And so we put the galleries together. But Clemens was never really happy in Cologne. This kind of person which, despite what family they have in the background, always want to be a rebel. So he was this very educated elite rebel. So then he wanted to go to Berlin. So we went to Berlin, and I went into Berlin, and I said, no way I'm going to say. There's no way. This is not my style. And, I don't like people from Berlin. So that's it. So we went back to Cologne, and he was very frustrated because I was this bourgeois, middle-class, saturated woman he loved, and he didn't want to have that. He didn't want to drink the good red wine and have boar for dinner. So that's how it was. However, and so then, I got pregnant, and then with our first child, and then his father called and said, okay, I want to buy you an apartment in Cologne. And Clemens said, oh, no way. Then his father said, so I'm going to buy you an apartment in Berlin. And then I wrote on a piece of paper, no way. Then I took another piece of paper and I put on New York. That's how we ended up in New York.
Amazing story again.
Yeah. So it was, I think, because
it was in the cards.
Yeah, but because I'm so non-strategical, and I also had all my ups, up, and then I had my downs. I ate food with the silver spoon, and then I fell into the shit. So and I think it has to do with my personality, which is not very strategical. I don't think really what I can get out of it. I'm just convinced.
You are intuitive and from the heart.
No, I don't think it is. I don't know if it's intuition, but I see something and I'm convinced, and then I'm doing it. And that's not meaning because I'm convinced it will be successful. But yeah, to be proud about myself, I can name artists I worked together with. So with one person shows, I worked together with Martin Kippenberger. I did the double exhibition with Albert Oehl and Martin Kippenberger. I worked with Günter Firk. I worked with Rudolf Stingel. I worked with Ed Ruscha.
Yes. I mean, your history speaks for yourself for sure.
So, and that's it. and I thought I needed to take a hiatus from New York after a lot of my personal things got difficult. And that's what I did by moving up here. So Hudson is my hiatus, you know?
Yes, yes. And I'm sure it's very curative up there as well on some level.
Yes,
Like you said, return to the art
I
for art's
really,
sake.
it's it's very beautiful up here.
Yes, yes. Well, I'll come and visit soon. I know we ran into each other at the train station a couple times, but I will come and stay in the Princess Beatrix bed
Yes.
sometime. I'll let you know. I mean, once this whole COVID frenzy is over.
Naya, I see this differently. Firstly, I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to be over soon. I think
Me
we have
neither.
to live with it. I always compare it with my friends which had HIV and then died in AIDS. So I think, at that time we needed to use condoms to make love, and I think now we need to wear masks and wash our hands to stay alive. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I totally agree. And I mean, if they come up with some rapid test that you can do like, 2 or 3 days in a row to make sure, I actually prefer that than any ridiculous vaccine that will never be able to keep up with nature's how quick nature evolves.
Yeah, but right now all the vaccines are killers. I never would even take a vaccine, but that's me.
Never. Never. I was just speaking to one artist and he was like, "Did you get the flu vaccine?" And I was like, "Why would I do that? I mean, I like my body nice and clean and healthy. I don't want to put some random germs
Yeah,
in it." I mean,
yeah.
seriously. Anyways, that's another whole topic there. But thank you for sharing so much of yourself and so much of your experience and your time. Is there anything I didn't ask that you want to share?
I want to say I'm really grateful to the artist and I have one or two or three colleagues up here. I really think that the work of Jack Shyman with the schoolhouse in Kinderhook, it's
Mm-hmm.
because
Yes.
he's so cool. And I
Mm-hmm.
really appreciate also the work of the second ward. It's really very performative. And then, I mean, the gallery, September Gallery, who used to be in
Mm-hmm.
also on the Lower East Side. There is really things are really happening here. It's
Yes,
I'm very
yes.
grateful that I can be kind of a part of it. It's a small part, I mean, if you go through all the artists which are up here, I mean, it's like Gagosian. It's like a basket for Gagosian up here.
Well, every little piece is
Yeah.
important to the whole. So, we all do our part, and hopefully the whole is a happy, useful
Yes, and
success.
that's what I'm grateful for, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for this, and I will be in touch as
Yeah.
soon as I
Okay.
can.
Bye.
Okay. Take
Bye.
care. Have a good evening. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Tanja, and we'll see you again soon on the Bees and Honey podcast. Thanks for joining us.